Hi everyone, and welcome along to Sonic Academy with me, Chris, and sat beside me in his studio is the Dark Lord Phil.
Hi.
Hi, high five, high
Psh,
five.
psh, psh.
Uh, we have got Kick 3.1 ready, and it should be in your accounts right now. And we thought we'd take you through some of the new features that we've been working on for the past couple of months. So
Yeah,
it's over to Philip to chat about. Will we talk about some of the sort of smaller features and then get on to some of the bigger ones?
sure. Just when you download the install file from your account, you will get a README file so you can go through and see all the individual features. There's a whole bunch of new features and a bunch of bug fixes, but we'll just be covering the sort of most important, new, exciting things. But if you
The
want
new
to delve into any of the nitty gritty, that's there for you.
There's new, what do you call them? Quality of life.
Quality of life, yeah, lots of
Yeah.
bits and bobs, and user requests and things like that. But the sort of the big one for this one is we spent a lot of time redeveloping the import algorithm,
Hmm.
and the thing that we sort of discovered was that one size does not fit all. Some people were specifically looking for an import option that didn't take any click and could analyze the whole file. For example, like sidekicks and stuff like that, where you want to try and get as much of the kick into the actual sub portion and
Hmm.
have like as little click as possible.
Uh-huh.
So, and then on the other end of the spectrum, there's stuff like live kicks where you want like quite a lot of kick, and the sub is really more just the sort of low end thing that you want to capture as much of the realism of that sort of live sample as possible.
Hmm.
So there's sort of two ends of the spectrum, and there's no real way other than offering an option to pick for the user to do that all in one import. So we decided to
Hmm.
go for a system now where you can choose what import setting you want. We've created a bunch of presets, and then if you want to get super mega nerdy, you can go in and all the presets are just predefined XML files that you can modify and create your own presets.
So that XML file will be sitting in the Sonic Academy folder in your applications folder.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to probably get to it would be go to Open User Presets folder,
Hmm.
and then you can just go back a level,
Hmm.
and then in Factory Analysis, you'll see the factory analysis options. And is there a user analysis? I don't think there is.
Don't think there is.
No, so you can just populate that factory folder with your own ones. I would recommend obviously duplicating first before you start overwriting the stuff that's there.
Sage advice, sage advice. Let's grab a kick and we do have little descriptors of what is, you know, the intention with the analysis file. So you have, high precision, you have less precision, but less nodes. High precision can give you a load of nodes. So yeah, do
There's
you want
yeah, there's various options. So one of the big improvements was capturing like kicks that are in tracks.
to? Yeah.
So let's drop one of those in, and we're going to analyze. So we've got these import algorithm options: default, accurate, live clean, clean kick, full track, and side trance. I will go for the full track,
Hmm.
and we'll analyze and import that. One of the other things that we're doing now, we're loading in the original sample into channel 5 so you can compare between what Kick 3 has done with the
Hmm.
import algorithm versus what was originally there. So if you want to listen to that, you can just solo it, and then we can compare that with what's been imported before. Obviously, with imports from tracks, there's always going to be a bit of cleanup.
Hmm.
9 times out of 10, you should be able to get away with just bringing down the tail of the click
Uh-huh.
and just shortening that algorithm. And we're getting a bit of a whoop at the end, and that's just because it's trying to analyze some of the vocals, so we can just bring that down.
And I suppose while we're on this subject, one thing we also have now is your analysis folder. It didn't clean itself out previously, so if you are analyzing loads of tracks now, it does.
Yeah, so it only stores. Previously, what used to happen was, say you wanted to try the same sample with all the different algorithms, with different settings and tweaks. Every time you did that, it would store a file in the cache. Now it only stores the file once you've saved.
Yeah.
So when you're happy with what you've done, you save the file. It'll store the sub layer
Analysis.
and the click layer separately then. So we've got a pretty good kick there. The amp envelope still has loads of nodes. The reason we kept that in is because it doesn't really affect the editability of the sound. Most of the time, if you want to edit, you're doing that on the sort of the pitch side of things,
Hmm.
and it's very easy to clean up the amp side by just dragging. So you can just drag down to there, for example.
Make a curve.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just sort of sort that out. So that's very easy, and it doesn't affect the sound as much. So we thought we'd leave that up to the user whether they wanted it really accurate to the sample, and then it's very easy to change that if you want. So I'll just solo the click, and I'm going to zoom in just at the start, and you can see that we've got quite a lot of click happening there, and it fades out, and the sub's quite filtered. And I'll show you what the analysis file looked like for that. So this is our full track analysis, and I'll talk you through some of the options that are being used in this. So we've got two algorithm types. So this is kind of similar to the original algorithm in Kick, although it has been updated. One of the issues before was it wasn't picking up every zero crossing, so it was throwing up some errors that shouldn't have been there. So that was a bug that's been fixed. So it's the original algorithm's already way more accurate than it was before. And then we have added the ability to define the amount of pitch nodes. Actually, I should say there is two types of algorithms. So this is the original algorithm. If you set this to 1, it'll do the new algorithm, which is a more accurate algorithm, but it adds a lot more nodes. So if you really want the exact kick with the exact pitch, and we're only talking like a millisecond out in terms of phase and stuff on the original algorithm, but if it really has to be, 1-to-1, then you can use the new algorithm. It adds more nodes, but it is more accurate. The other thing we have then is these pitch node settings, so you can define how many pitch nodes you want to have in your kick. It's probably doesn't really need to change. If you really want, you can have 10 or you can have 6 if you want. Again, you could try these things, save them as a preset, and mess about. Bias to start. So again, this sort of feeds into the whole concept of kicks having more information at the start of them, which is why we went down the logarithmic path with the waveform display originally. But yeah, so the bias to start will try and put more nodes towards the start where more information is happening, where there's like a sharper pitch curve and stuff like that. Towards the end, there's sort of less. You can normally get away with a couple of nodes because they're just sort of fading out gradually. And again, you can play about with that. I think you can go up to about 5 or 6 before it starts getting silly, and you've just got all your nodes in one tiny wee area at the front. So somewhere between 1 and 2 really is kind of where you want to be at. Fade in. So this is a brand new option where we can sort of disregard the first X milliseconds and keep that specifically for the click. So that's a fade up on the pre-processed kick that the algorithm is looking at. And what that does is just basically give you more click at the very, very start. And that can, again, go up to around 40, 50 milliseconds if you want loads of click. If there's a kick that, you really like the start bit on, and you just want to, maybe change the pitch of it or something like that. A higher fade-in value will give you more click. For stuff like sidekicks and stuff like that, you want basically 0. You want as much information in the thing as possible. And then our filter nodes, this is basically we filter the kick before we go into the analysis, and we filter it on a curve. So we start off at a certain frequency and we end on a frequency, and these are all editable. So again, depending on the type of kick you're trying to import, you can mess about with those and all the.
And they can all be any. They don't have to be related or in, a ratio or anything.
No,
Or is a ratio?
no, and as far as I remember, you can add more of these. So if you just add extra lines,
Right.
but in practice, the values you're probably looking at are these first two, because again, with all the kick information, or all the information in kick being sort of towards the start, these first two are probably the most important. And then, so this option, click filtered. This is a slightly more difficult one to explain. So once we do the filtering process, we then resynthesize the sub, And traditionally, what we do is use that synthesize sub to then extract the click from the original sample. Sometimes that can, if there's a lot of sort of distortion or like random information or trash in the sub portion, what can happen is if the algorithm hasn't got it exactly, then a phase offset will occur between the synthesized sub and the original sample.
Yeah.
So when you extract the click, you get a bit more like trash noise that's actually going into the click that wasn't even there in the first place. So we've added an option to, instead of using the synthesized sub to extract
Yes.
the click, we're using just the filtered bit before it's synthesized. And what that does, it gives you a really, really clean click, and it will give you a really clean sub. The disadvantage is that it's not exactly as accurate, and you will, so say if a sub has a lot of distortion in the sub part of it, that just basically gets disregarded then.
Okay.
So really good for if you are, like, say, doing some trance kicks and you want to get like the essence of those kicks, like the subby sound of it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you want to clean the kick up. It's brilliant for that. So that's why we use it on the full track analysis specifically, because you're really getting the essence of that kick without all the sort of trash around it, which it's my preferred option. But
Yeah, because you said it's a much more editable version of the kick.
yeah, you get a really clean click and you get a really nice solid sub. So it gives you the vibe without all the gubbins around it. Right. Let me find a more psi focused kick. I think I have some in here somewhere. Let's try trance. Yeah, so we'll try this one. So this is a more psi one. We're going to go to psi trance. Okay, if you look at now, we have very little click going on. It's just basically almost like the trash, and then in the main sub, we're almost capturing that whole kick. And if you look at the analysis file for that, you'll see the difference between, especially the filtering. So if we go to our sidetrack analysis, so we're right up at 20K. So it's trying to analyze it from right up to that super high frequency and then right down. We're using the original algorithm, same number of nodes, bit more biased to start, again, because there's a lot on those, because you're extracting a lot of stuff at that initial portion of the click. You want that all in the sub.
Yeah.
We're biasing a bit more towards that. No fade in, as I said earlier. Again, we don't want any click. We're trying to get as much into the actual sub as possible, and we are using the original.
Okay, so let's have a look at the next new big feature, Phil, which would be our new distortion envelopes on the sub.
Yep, so we've got two new envelopes that are completely independent from everything else, and they are specifically for the harmonics and distortion. Let's look at harmonics first, shall we?
Yeah, it was an often asked update. People were always asking about distortion envelopes and harmonic envelopes. So
let's pick the square just to make it obvious what we're doing. Traditionally with the harmonics, you just had a control. You could change the shape of your waveform. Get some nice distorted waveforms. We obviously have different ones that are modeled on either toms or drum skins or other kicks and whatnot, but we'll keep it on the square wave so we can see more easily what is happening. So now we have this harmonics envelope, and it's essentially just controlling the gain of the harmonics section. So if both of the nodes are at the bottom, it's like having the harmonics control at 0, and you can then obviously play about with, if you want, just harmonics at the end or harmonics at the start. Or maybe them at the start, although yeah, sounds cool too. So yeah, very simple harmonics control, and you can turn that on and off.
Using the wee icon. Yeah, it's blue. When it's on, it's activated.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's just a selector. So it just shows you what envelope you're actually working on. The second one is distortion. So it works in a similar way, except you have all the distortion types. So I'm going to put this fully up So you can see the distortion, and then you can flick through all the different types of distortion. These are the same types we have in the effects section. So get some really nicely distorted stuff. Again, the envelope enables you to choose at what part you want that. And then this is a trim control. So this sets the maximum level of the distortion.
This should keep the hardcore people happy.
Yeah, so you can do a lot with that. Obviously, for the hardcore ones, you're probably separating your initial donk with your sub and stuff like that. So you can do a lot with that. Yeah, so that's it for the new harmonic envelopes.
So that's on the sub. On the click, we've got pre-delay.
We do, yep. So let me get a kick with a bit more click in it. Something like that. So if you wanted to just add a bit of space at the start, you can do that.
There you go.
And if you wanted to go the other way, I believe you can use trim.
There you go.
So that is that. Again, another user request. What else have we got, Chris?
So the next big thing is our browser. We've updated the favorites and Audition.
Yeah, so we've got 5 favorites now. They can all be relabeled. Oh, learn how to spell kicks. You think I would have that down by now? And then you can just right-click on anything and add them.
You can send it to one favorite or 2 favorites, or all 5 favorites, and start building up a sort of a system to easily find the kick that you want, because we understand that people's kick libraries can be huge.
Yeah, so I've nothing in. I've got a couple of red ones. I've got a lot of blue ones. So yeah, just an easy way to organize your kicks if you don't want to have to start moving
and while you're
in folders.
While you're in there, can we have click on the wee Audition?
Yep. So we've got Audition now. So you can you can use your keys on your keyboard.
Do you know what? It's actually freak. It's like going back to the sample folders.
Yeah, this is what we didn't want.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that Audition is also in the Click browser as well. So you can turn that on.
Handy. It definitely is a handy feature.
And then
to be
double click to actually load it.
Loaded.
Yep.
Some new effects.
New effects. We have ping pong delay.
Ping pong.
Just an extra delay taken from the one in Anna, I believe.
We have Verbitron.
Verbitron, yeah. So Verbitron was where is Verbitron? Oh, there we are. Obviously V. It's like a sort of a reverb. It's like a reverb diffuse section, so it sort of is good for just creating weird spaces, and it was really good. We used to use it in Anna a lot for sort of wubs and stuff, but it's good for, like, again, more maybe aggressive kicks, maybe techno kicks, just adding something that's a bit unusual in there.
It's got a metallic-y, robot-y sort of feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it is a sort of reverb, but it's really the sort of early or late diffusion section of a reverb.
We have a last one's high gain.
High gain.
Effect.
Yeah, just another distortion, again pulled from Anna 2, just a more aggressive distortion.
There we go.
Yep.
And I suppose, last thing that everyone loves is you can shift drag length sliders to snap to the beat grid.
You can, yes. So quarter, all the different, there's a
Look at that
bar.
Because people are obsessed with their kicks finishing exactly at this
It must finish.
And that, I suppose, that feeds into, by the way, gate. Now you can go into settings and set the sort of tail of the gate.
Yeah, so we have gate release time here. So if it's defaults at about 50. So depending on how low your sub is, you need a certain amount of time. Well, it also depends on where in the cycle it's finishing. If it finishes right at the end of a cycle, you can have a really short gate time. But obviously the gate time is dependent on the note press, so unless you know that exactly and work that out. So it's trial and error, I suppose. If you can try and have it low, but you'll probably get clicks if it's too low. But I think some people were complaining that it was a tiny bit high. I think we had it at 80 milliseconds default, which was probably a bit long. So now you can mess about with that to your heart's content.
So lots of new cool features. Again, go through the README. There is other, right-click menu things and stuff that we've added in, what we call quality of life stuff. But I think, the new import algorithms, the new distortion and harmonic envelopes, and the sorting of your preset library.
Yeah, we've also got preview buttons on the individual channels now. Let me get
That's really, really handy.
Yeah, let me get a nicer kick. So we can hear, so...
Oh, look at that.
And we also have preview on export. So when you do your export or your, what is that, export update? Generate.
Yeah.
If you click on the WAV file, you can hear what your export sounds like just to check before you save it or do whatever.
There we go.
Is that that? I think that is that.
That is that. That is Kick 3.1, available in everyone's account.
Is it Kick 3.1 or is it Kick 3 1.1?
Sorry, what did I say? Kick?
Is it? I can't remember. It is Kick 3 version 1.1. Should have just had it 3.1. I don't know.
Yeah, it should not really be 3.1.
Wow, that's what it says in the release notes. So
I'm looking at the release notes, and I've just changed the PSD to 3.1. But it should be 1.1. Kick 3, 1.1.
There you go.
Okay.
As usual, if you have any questions, you can hit us up on the Discord. That seems to be where all the action is happening these days. We'll put a link to that in the edit, I imagine.
Yep.
So lots of action happening there if you want to chat to us. And
coming very, very soon is a 2.55 update,
yes.
which now includes the JU60 as now available as an effect, and there'll be a new cool pack coming with that.
The JP pack that everyone's absolutely busting to get. When's it coming out, Chris?
Sorry, we were held up with the Slate version. It was out of our hands.
We had to get the Juno in because I'd built all the presets using a beta version or an internal beta version that had the Juno in. So we had to sort of get that sorted before we could release the pack. But it is coming. It is coming very soon.
It is. We released the installers yesterday, so it should be there very soon.
All right.
Well, good to see you, Philip.
Yes, you too.
High five.
High five.
There you go.
All right. Catch you later.